Oh, I gotta read. Do I go? I don't know if I go. Do I go now?
Go now.
Do it now. Okay.
Do it.
Welcome to Inside Vaping, your weekly resource for vaping news. Our show airs live on Tuesday nights, and if you didn't know, that's right now, from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time via YouTube live event at TheOhmPage, TheOhmPage.com/live. The show consists of two distinct segments. The first hour streaming right here on YouTube. The second, uncensored version, Potty Mouths, hour of the show airs exclusively on the Quest Vaping Network at vapors.tv/Quest Vaping. Merry Christmas, everyone. We're in our holiday get-up. I'm Ed the Green, Inside Vaping. Let's talk to our first co-host, Dane Smith. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. I've missed everyone so badly. I am in my Christmas getup, which today would be the Christmas cook, since that seems to be what I'm doing a lot of these days. I do need to add that you can join a chat via Kiwi IRC at http://goo.gl/KV0XJ.
Let me just put this screen up here. This will probably help out quite a bit.
Because YouTube is being a pain and will not let me put anything close to that in there.
So let me put the screen up, and we do have a new chat because we're on the HomePage and they use IRC, which is vastly superior to YouTube's integrated chat. So check out the chat there at the link provided on this screen. Hopefully you were able to grab that. If not, it is in the description on the YouTube video. So if you're on the YouTube live page, you should be able to see it under the description.
Yes.
And as you can notice, we do have, we've got somebody who isn't a member of Inside Vaping. Of course, Understudy 77 from Plumes. I'm sure most of the room here is familiar with him. And Sean is going to join us today to talk about the TheOhmPage. We're very pleased to be a part of the TheOhmPage, and there's some very interesting developments coming up for that website. So Sean, tell us a little bit about that.
Dude, I didn't even know I was going to be in here for like 15 minutes, but hey, how's it going? Merry Christmas.
You're welcome for that great intro. I didn't even get to our host.
Merry Christmas. He didn't even introduce him.
So, as they said, broadcasting on the TheOhmPage. Now, the TheOhmPage was a project started by the Plumes guys, as well as Chuff from Chuff Enough Vapes and a few others, basically to make a repository of information from written content, video reviews, and live shows. So I've been watching Inside Vaping for a couple of weeks now, and I reached out to James, and I really like their content, and they're very different than what we do, which I like. It's something new. And we asked them if they wanted to be involved and if they wanted to broadcast with us on the TheOhmPage, and they graciously accepted. So they're going to come over and join us, I think, for a while, right?
Yeah, and we differ from you guys because we have a very dry delivery.
Well, you know, I just found out right before we went live that you guys don't swear, and I'm going to try really hard.
Only for an hour.
I'm going to try really hard.
I think 15 minutes into the show 2 weeks ago, Ed and I had both sworn very shortly after the show started, so that doesn't always work as well as we expect it to. But, you know, there's been a lot of developments here the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we've been off for 2 weeks. Dane, you moved into a new house, and I know things were in an uproar between that and the holidays. Ed, you were sick. I was pretty busy because we had an upstairs bathroom remodel. By the way, our installer, we told him we were getting a vessel sink for the bathroom. He didn't know how to install a vessel sink, so he reached out to me this morning to give him directions from the internet on how to install a vessel sink.
You gotta love that.
But
doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. So, Dane, the move is going pretty smoothly. You're moved in now, obviously.
Now it is. We were without internet for quite some time, and they had to completely redo the entire house. And then our phone didn't work, and then the phone worked, and then the internet didn't work, and then everything just kind of went to hell in a handbasket, and we were standing around wondering what we were going to do.
Last week James was ready to call search and rescue to find you.
I know, and I wanted to call him on my phone, but I was so angry. I was afraid that I was going to yell at him, and I didn't want to do that.
See, and I kind of wondered about that because I kind of pestered you with texts. Because, I don't know, it's like this show must go on mentality, but at the same time, I realized what you were going through, so, I'm glad everything's resolved, man.
I thought my wife would leave me, but luckily she stuck around.
So, week in vaping, actually, it's been 2 weeks since we did our last show, so, last 2 weeks. The newest thing that I got is this dog whistle that you call the billow. The billow does sound like a dog whistle when I vape it. But it is a great tank. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. And there's a couple other tanks on the market. Cloud chasing tanks are kind of in, and I believe the Atlantis had something to do with China just going, I'm not going to say that. I'll just say it, balls to the wall, because that's how they're handling this. And there's a bunch of great alternatives on the market. So that was pretty much the newest thing I got. Did you get any vape mail, Dane?
As a matter of fact, I did. My favorite Santa, Ed the Green. I have to give this a little backstory. I've had the week from hell, and it was horrible. And I was at like the end of my patience rope. And I went out to the mailbox, and there's a box in there. And all I see on the return address is smoke-free mods. And I thought, why did Ed send me a box? And I'm like, this has to be a gag. There's got to be like a dirty sock in here or something. It's got to be a joke. And I opened it up, and lo and behold, is a beautiful new Mantis, which lights up when I vape, which is very cool, and I'm about to burn this cardo out big time. But thank you, Ed Green. I absolutely love it, and this thing has been spectacular.
What's a cardo?
What's a cardo is exactly right. I've not used one of these in a very long time, and I put it on here, and I was afraid that I was going to burn up the fiber fill on the inside. But so far, it's been working good. I've only flooded it once, and so far, luckily, I haven't done any damage.
Anything new?
Hey, Dane, let me see that for a minute, and I'll put some juice in there for you. Okay. Hey, let me put a couple drops in there for you. There you go.
Just don't put that custard stuff in there.
Here, catch.
Okay. Got it. Good throw. That was a good one.
Masters of illusion here at
Oh,
Inside
yes.
Vaping.
And, folks, it wasn't any better in pre-show.
That juice is
I think it was a little better in pre-show.
Yeah, it was.
I'm still nervous.
So, speaking of not knowing what a cardo is, and look, Ruby Roo is great, but I thought it was hilarious when you guys were talking about 901 cardos or 901 addies, and Ruby, I don't know, it seems like she might have not known what a cardo or what an 901 was.
I still use those.
Queue?
I use them. I use them all the time. I have a Darwin that I use a 901p atomizer on exclusively, and I love it. I do. I use it a lot.
Sean, tell us a little bit about that show, because that is also a recent addition to the TheOhmPage.
Oh, the reviewers queue?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reviewers queue is the Monday night slot. For anybody who's watching, though, it will not be airing tomorrow because it's Christmas Eve. The reviewers queue is kind of the brainchild of Matt Cully from Suck My Mod and Candy McCann, with me kind of helping to lead and guide a little bit behind the scenes. It's basically going to take a rotating cast of vape reviewers, some big, some small, and show hosts every week. And it's going to take that group and it's going to turn them into, every week there's going to be a set of topics or a theme. And then those 4 to 5 people are going to get together and host a show.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good idea because, you've got a lot of big personalities in the vape reviewers world. And, I think it's going to generate some very dynamic discussions, sometimes heated, I would expect, especially once we get to the topic portion.
I'm expecting that. I know one of them is going to be, after watching Ben Miller's lovely, lovely little tank shootout today, I think we want to do a tank show. And I want to be part of that because I have to defend the honor of my K-Fun 4.
Yeah, and I see he likes the new version of the Typhon. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and I have never used one of those.
So I've used the V1 and I didn't like it at all. The V2, yeah. I don't know. I've had so many people tell me that this is the tank that you have to get to beat the K-Fun that at this point, $200 is a lot of money to be disappointed again.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what a Typhon costs. Holy cow.
So I found this on Reddit this week, and it was submitted by E-Cigs subredditor Sanitarium86. And this kind of blew my mind, just the fact that somebody would come up with a device like this. And I did want to correct. Somebody in chat corrected you, Sean. Monday night slot is Plumes, Tuesday is Inside Vaping, and then Wednesday is Reviewer's Queue.
Yes.
So check it out Wednesday, but not this Wednesday, because they are not on the air. So I'm going to show you this screenshot here. And this gentleman from the UK, hi, my name's Chris. Welcome to Affordable Mods. I'm a vapor with more than 5 years experience. In that time, I've learned to understand just what the average vapor on a limited budget wants. I'm retired now and just needed something to do, so now he builds mods. Let's take a look at his first mod.
Wait, before... And this would make sense. A person with limited funds, a poor person, someone who wants to kill themselves. Now,
I don't know that I go that far, but yeah. And here's the thing, okay? This guy seems like he's a decent guy just on the surface, but this is his mod, okay? This is bare bones.
I saw that.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. What was it selling for, Dane? Wasn't it like 16 pounds?
Yeah. Yep. 16 pounds 99. Yeah. And it looks like a 1940 shoehorn to me.
I just, again, I'm not going to begrudge somebody the ability to make mods in their golden years when they retired and everything. That's fine. It's just that if you have 5 years of vaping experience and you preface it with that, why is this something that you would think was okay? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting to it. Sean, obviously, you talk to Mast all the time, so, what do you think of this?
We've had some conversations about that one, and that's a bad idea waiting to happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad ideas waiting to happen in the world, but if you guys don't mind to talk about the good side of things.
Sure.
There's a plethora of exceptionally affordable mods coming out. Yeah. I mean, Mast has been working with this guy to do this dual MOSFET mechanical box that's going to be under $100. The Steam Monkey FUFDA is $80. The Gnome V2 is $100. So there's a plethora of affordable, made in the States stuff coming out, too.
That is not $16.99 pound. You need to get it lower. Lower.
Free.
It needs reverse battery protection.
It needs sides to it, damn it.
Hey,
well,
look,
it needs more venting. It definitely.
We had the DNA 20 and the DNA 30 that didn't have reverse polarity protection, so why would we need it now? I mean, we did fine.
Does the DNA 40 even have reverse polarity protection?
It does. Yes.
Does it? Because my flask,
mistakes.
My flask has very specific instructions about not putting the batteries in the wrong way.
Yes, really? Because on a dual, If you put one in one way and one in the other, then the batteries are shorting.
True.
So, that warning.
This is
do that to a spider.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but we talked about the bare bones mod, and that's a mod that we think is kind of ridiculous. But I saw something else, and this just struck me as odd. Let me see if I can find it here. Of course, I don't have all my show assets organized, but this is quite possibly one of the funniest juice names I've ever found.
This is
Golden
this is going to be in James's Christmas stocking here.
I've tried for years to make that juice. I haven't been able to.
I don't know. Supposedly it is a sweet golden pineapple with honeydew melon, and it gives a powerful tropical vape.
She has never said it tasted like that.
Asparagus, maybe? Oh, man, what were they thinking? And this is also from the makers of Old Dirty Custard, by the way, which is another one of my favorites.
Which, by the way, sounds absolutely delicious.
Yes.
Old Dirty Custard. It
It's
really does.
diacetyl-free, I believe.
It's just dirty custard.
Just absolute winners coming out in the name market, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, the first story that we've got tonight, have you guys ever heard of a company called VitaSig?
No, I cannot say I have.
Well, I'm going to overlay this right over Sean's camera because we're trying to get it all on one screen. So VitaSig's claim to fame is that they sell and market nic-free cigalikes, which supposedly have vitamins in them. So you can have a little vape and get your vitamin D or C, etc. They do not have nicotine in them. Their parent company is E-Cig. And E-Cig, here's a description. Gratuitous shot of Rick Ross because he is their brand ambassador. The E-Cig provides a superior smoking experience by heating plant material, waxes, and oils, delivering a smoother inhalation experience. So obviously this is marketed at somebody who's going to be using it for, medicinal marijuana, to smoke something or use something other than e-liquid.
No.
In addition to the E-Cig and VitaSig lines, they also, and Bam Margera also is a brand ambassador for the
I'm sold right there.
VitaSig, because he likes getting his vitamins out.
I mean, if he's down with it,
Yeah, if it's okay for Jackass, it's okay for me.
So, in addition to E-Cig and VitaSig, they also have a new product line marketed as the Lick-Sig. L-I-Q.
Oh.
No, not L-I-C-K.
More master marketing there.
So, the Lick-Sig Incorporated, the company is engaged in the development of the world's first prepackaged alcoholic e-cig. The Lick-Sig will provide consumers with an unprecedented calorie-free method for the consumption of alcohol, creating a potentially disruptive force within the $1.3 trillion recreational alcoholic beverage industry. Source Market Line. So I've got a little bit of experience with something very similar to this because a while back I bought this thing called a Vaportini. And I'll tell you what, this gave me the worst hangover I have ever experienced in my life. So basically, you're freebasing alcohol.
Did it get you drunk, though? That's the question.
Oh, it wasn't a traditional type, happy-go-lucky drunk, warm and fuzzy feeling. And it gave me this hellacious hangover. It happened really, really quick. Like, I felt tipsy and I felt strange probably about 10 minutes into inhaling the vapor from that Vaportini. But it's just a really weird experience. And not something I would recommend to anybody. I actually ended up breaking it because I didn't want it anymore. But you put alcohol 80 proof and higher into that globe, and you put a little candle in the bottom of the glass, and it heats up the globe. Condensation and vapor build up inside the globe, and then you suck it out with a straw.
That seems like a little bit too much work.
That's a lot of work.
When they originally talked about it, they were talking about the advantages, and they said it wouldn't be detectable in a breathalyzer test. And it is detectable, although that's a horrible goal to try to achieve.
It's not smoke, it's vapor, dude.
Test.
This will help you break the...
Yeah, well, it's just a horrible idea. So this is the other problem. When a user vaporizes or smokes alcohol, the alcohol circumvents the stomach and liver, directing its pathway to the brain and bloodstream. Because the alcohol bypasses the liver, the alcohol is concentrated, thus leading to a quick high. So that's pretty much what I noticed as well, is I basically had this pounding headache. It felt like a squirrel was trying to burrow its way out of my skull. It was really bad. The consensus among doctors is clear that the concept, when not utilized by a doctor for conditions such as AWS or pulmonary edema, is extremely dangerous. So this is just something that they're marketing towards people that want like a quick high or a quick, tipsy, drunk type feeling. And overall, this company just has a track record of general...
So there was an e-liquid, do you guys remember, that came out that was caffeinated?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They had some
I remember.
Melatonin and all that, too. And from what I understand, when you vape that, you don't metabolize it the same way, and it actually doesn't affect you at all in the amount that it's in. So I'm quite curious if any of these products that this guy's marketing would actually work.
No, these are snake oil salesmen. I mean, the VitaSig wouldn't work for the same reason, because you can't absorb. It's one of the things that you can't absorb through the tissue of your lungs. Mm-hmm. We do know you can absorb things from the Atlantis through the tissue of your lungs. We'll get to that soon.
Yeah, do you guys remember the show Mansers? They did where you can actually get drunk by putting a shot or putting beer in your butt. Because it does the same thing. It bypasses your liver. You get drunk instantly.
All right, I'm going to put the disclaimer up. The experiences of James Martin and Ed Green do not necessarily reflect those of Inside Vaping, YouTube, or any of its affiliates. Thank you.
Works better with Everclear.
Yes, don't try those things at home. Ow, that's gotta burn.
So, how would you resuscitate an individual who obtains alcohol poisoning overdoses from vaporizing alcohol? You can't. Once it's in the blood and the brain, it's done, which is why I had this horrendous headache that I could not get rid of. I couldn't puke it out. When you get drunk, when you have alcohol poisoning, what's the first thing that happens? You have that urge to vomit, because you have to get rid of it, the urge to purge, right? So with this, I had no way to get rid of it, and I was just suffering for literally like 6 or 8 hours with a pounding headache. So bad idea, really bad idea. I hope this does not come to market. Have you heard of Palcohol, Ed? That's the powdered alcohol.
No, tell me more.
Okay, all right. So this company came up with these little pouches of alcohol that you can buy in packets, and they can be added to a mixer of your choice. Supposedly, it's pretty decent stuff, but they're basically using the same tactics on this. I'm okay with this, because if you're an adult and you want to enjoy an adult beverage, that's fine. But they're using the same tactics with this that they do with E-Cigs, saying that, well, I'll just quote, Chris Johnson, executive director of the County Sheriffs of Colorado, who fears powdered alcohol will make it easier for children to sprinkle it on top of their Wheaties for breakfast. What, really? And Mr. Johnson, what stops children from adding vodka to their milk? I mean, it's basically the same argument that they're using with E-Cigs as well. They're saying that the flavors are going to attract kids. Well, you have flavored vodkas. You have all of these other things on the market that are attractive to kids.
And let's be honest for a second. Adults like things that taste good.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, we do.
Nothing I like better with my Lucky Charms than a little powdered Baileys.
Oh, Well, that actually
Parental
sounds like a wonderful e-juice, Bailey's and Lucky Charms.
Or dehydrated
that.
chata.
All right, Dane, what do you got?
We have got health groups urge the FDA to combat teen vaping. I know. Here we go again with teen vaping. The National Institute of Health, they had a 2014 monitoring and future survey, and they monitored the use of e-cigarettes for the first time this year and found that 8.7% of 8th graders, 16.2% of 10th graders, and 17.1% of 12th graders had used the product in the last month. According to these findings, a new generation of American teens are taking up nicotine via e-cigs, which remain unregulated. How many more of our children, they say, will fall prey to these high-tech devices before the FDA acts? Despite the positive developments this year, we are concerned about the levels of e-cigarette use among teens that we are seeing, said Dr. Lloyd Johnston, who was the principal investigator with the Institute of Social Research at the University of Michigan. It'd be a tragedy if this product undid some of the great progress made to date in reducing cigarette smoking by teens. This article is really pretty much the same blowhard rhetoric we've heard over and over and over again. But what really made this article stand out was Dr. Gilbert Ross made a comment in direct rebuttal to this particular post. And I found it very interesting. And he said, yes, it sure would be a shame if e-cigs led teens into deadly addictive smoking, but they don't. Look at the CDC's own stats, which clearly show that as teen experimentation with e-cigs rose, actual smoking of lethal cigarettes or traditional tobacco has plummeted by unheard of degrees. How does the CDC and the AHA and all those other corrupt public health NGOs explain that? Oh, they don't. They're just happy to have gullible journalists like this one parrot the absurd party line concerns of the CDC, ACS, ALA, et al., etc., etc. Those groups have decided to do their own master's bidding, GSK, Pfizer, J&J, Johnson & Johnson, and keep selling useless patches and gums, etc. Thank you very much, Dr. Gilbert Ross, for actually iterating something that we were thinking, especially myself, while I was reading this absolutely ridiculous article that seems to be the norm all over the place now.
Yeah,
that was kind of actually my first question. If e-cigarette use is at that percentage, what was smoking at last year?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, but the ants will take all the credit for that because all of their ads to help children quit smoking or not start are working.
Well, we talked about this. We talked about this last show, the show that we had with Frank. How, and I don't remember what district it is, but there's actually a school that has tracked the decline of smoking, cigarette smoking, and they've attributed it to the fact that kids are starting to use e-cigarettes, and of course that's cause for concern for them. But at the same time, it's not a gateway, and this is where I'm going to go out on a limb and say something that might not be well received here. But in my opinion, vaping is a gateway to vaping. Yep. I know that sounds like it doesn't make any sense, but whether it's zero nic or with nicotine, kids are going to be entranced with emerging technology. Let's think about what kids ask for Christmas now. I mean, I've got a niece that is, I think she's 13. No, I've got one that's 9 that wants an iPhone case for Christmas. When I was 9 years old, well, of course, we didn't have cell phones back then. but even so, it's difficult getting used to the idea of kids being so entranced with technology at such a young age. I mean, I've got another great nephew that's 4, and he's all about the iPad, like all the different apps and everything, and that is his interface to the point of where if you show him something that doesn't have a touch interface, he doesn't know how to deal with it because he's used to that tactile response. So, it's emerging technology, and while I wholeheartedly believe that sales to minors should be restricted, I'm also not blind to the fact there's going to be a certain percentage of minors who never smoked and despite restrictions choose to vape.
But
So
would they have smoked?
it's very possible, but I'm not going to say that. Look, do you remember the first cigarette you ever smoked, Sean?
Yeah, I was 18.
Okay, was it a pleasant experience for you?
Yes.
Really?
It absolutely was.
Mine was not.
Yeah, mine either. Mine was was actually at 12, and it was pretty bad.
I have an idea, James.
Yeah. What's your idea, Ed?
Hello.
Oh,
Dork.
I'm sorry. My bad. I've got a cue here. I'm supposed to play this when Ed has an idea.
Parents, teach your children what's right and wrong. Tell them not to smoke.
I'm
Don't
with
use
him there.
E-Cigs with nicotine. That is all.
I'm with him. I mean, how many excuses can you make before you understand or before you come to the term that the parents have a responsibility of raising their kids and parents have a responsibility of what their kids do?
And this is the thing, and I've had this discussion with many people over the course of the last 2.5 years. If you have a child that lives under your roof and you know that they are smoking, even if they're trying to hide it from you, if I was a parent, and I don't have any kids, but if I was a parent, I would feel it was my responsibility to introduce them to something that was a reduced harm alternative. Even if it meant that I had to order the e-liquid for them and I had to do all this.
There's your unpopular opinion, but I agree.
Yeah. Well,
I've been in shops, and not to say the name of the shop, but they did everything right. A kid would come in with their parent, and the kid would have a vaporizer, and they would say, "Excuse me, you can't be in here with this," and the parent would respond with, "Well, it's better than smoking." I absolutely agree, but don't take your kid to the vape shop to buy them liquid. Keep that, to yourself.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's a better alternative, and your kid's 12 and he already smokes, it's hard for me to be like, don't have your kid vape.
And
Yep.
that reminds me of Vape Bash, that there are some parents that are just absolutely clueless. And Dane helped us out on this. That there was a vendor that brought their infant child in the room.
Yeah.
We had to address her and ask, say, hey, you can't have a child in here.
Yeah.
And she and then she persisted to say, well, that person over there has a dog. Really?
That was the greatest response I'd ever heard.
So for anyone who's running a vape event and they bring in a child and they're like, well, the parent has to be there, just tell them that the insurance doesn't cover anyone under 18. Dane was a brilliant man for remembering that.
Yep.
So, you know what? The thing that I took away from this is, what can we do at this point? If this is actually, if you lend any legitimacy to the fact that kids are going to vape, what can you do? Okay. So obviously you have restrictions. If you're a shop owner, you have a restriction, an age restriction on whether you can buy or not. Same thing for web shops. Although with web shops, it's almost like the honor system. Realistically, how are you going to get around that? I mean, age verification only works so well on the internet. What can we do? Okay, so everything within our power as an industry to support fair research. So we know this is a reduced harm alternative, but if we can reduce it even further, example would be the Farsalinos evaporation study, which was successfully funded. That's great. Those are things that we can do. So,
and I think
moving on.
Don't murder the online sales either.
Yeah.
I think that's important because this market really is driven on small business all over the world and all over the United States. You don't want to murder that. I'm fine with regulations. I'm fine with safety concerns. I'm fine with e-juice having to be AP and diacetyl tested and stuff like that. Right. And I'm fine with age verification, even if it goes as far as like Juicy Vapor. When I put in an order with them when I first started vaping, they make you send a picture of your ID for verification, and that's a little extreme, but it's a step.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we don't, and I think it might almost be too late, and Dane, you might agree with me here, but when the FDA comes through and when the deeming regs go through, this is going to be much more draconian than anything that we could subject ourselves to. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we've said it a lot, especially within the major organizations, is we're going to be regulated. The question is how much and what are we going to do to stop over legislation and stop them from overstepping bounds and prove that we're a viable industry that can police itself.
Okay, why is Ed have a costume change now? What is this? Is this
He's one of the
Is this
three
a
wise men.
Joseph?
Yeah,
He's
he
one
had
of
an
the three wise
idea.
men.
Isn't he warranted to that after the idea?
Yes, I think so. So angelic. Oh man.
You haven't seen I've been changing it like every screen change?
Yes, I noticed that you've been doing that. I actually have a condition. I'm deer-sighted, so I have to wear these.
I think when you wear those, you need to talk with a lateral lisp. It really kind of warrants that.
I understand why I've never seen those on the show. I'd be embarrassed by that too.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty embarrassing. So this, and again, the guys on Plumes have talked about this. There's been a lot of discourse about this. And what am I talking about? ATLANTISGATE. So the Atlantis, of course, the wicking material. The wicking material is just, I don't know.
Tasty.
Silicosis.
Sad trombone time.
If you read their new public statement on their forum, the wicking material is ceramic on the inside, surrounded completely by cotton, because that makes a difference.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember reading that, but there is an issue here. Here is Aspire's diagram for those who have not seen it yet. So somebody's pretty good with CAD. I think we can determine that. The thing that I have an issue with, you've got this organic cotton C.D. Aspire ceramic paper, specially designed as a capillary medium to feed the cotton wick more efficiently, and then E. organic cotton. So they're saying that this is sandwiched between layers of organic cotton. Well, that's great, except that cotton isn't fed. Oh, wow.
Yep, I saw it too.
I don't know. I think this video needs to be age restricted. The green is a terrorist now.
Somebody did call him Chewbacca
It's
of
cold
Inside
outside.
Vaping.
It's cold.
I'm not seeing Chewbacca of Inside Vaping, so.
I'm just trying to
did what with Foo?
Somebody called Ed the Chewbacca of Inside Vaping, and with
Yes,
that,
he is.
I'm not seeing it.
He is our Chewbacca equivalent. Oh, man. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through some pictures here. These are from the Atlantis wicking test report. So the first thing you see here is Shenzhen E-Gate Technology. The company that they contacted for testing was SGS, so they had their GCMS results for fiberglass paper, as they call it, the wicking material in Atlantis heads. So according to these results, they are ROHS, and some of you may have seen ROHS on things like AW batteries or different batteries. So ROHS stands for Restriction of Hazardous Substances. So the directive that this is controlled under is Directive 2011-65-EU Annex 2. It deals with the restriction of the use of certain hazardous substances in electrical and electronic equipment. So it's for electrical and electronic equipment. It's not for something you inhale. And we are going to continue, but I have to show you, we have a special guest this evening.
I wanted to get in on this too. It's not any fun when it's just Ed.
Christmas Spider-Man.
It's not fun when it's just Ed.
Ed can vape through his balaclava there.
Oh, I can totally vape through this. It's just very uncomfortable in the eyes.
The vaping world needs Spider-Man now.
Oh,
More than ever. More than ever.
Very uncomfortable in the eyes.
So my point here is that ROHS is not really something that is adequate as a test for something that you're going to be directly inhaling. Of course, we've talked about many users who have been using the Atlantis complaining about scratchy throat, inflamed passages, difficulty breathing, things like that. Of course, you're going to have some kind of a placebo effect. You're going to have people that are reporting it just because somebody else reported it.
Like me.
But like Dane. And we've all been using them. I mean, but
I have silicosis now.
Silicosis. Yes, that is the word of the year, by the way.
It is. For 2014, my new catchphrase is silicosis.
So this is the thing, okay? This was somebody who is a relatively advanced user. She was using her Atlantis head. It was wicking properly, and then all of a sudden dry hit. And that was the result. And this is my point, because there's people on the Aspire forum that are saying, well, if you keep it juiced, it's not going to burn. It's not going to ever reach that ceramic layer. I don't know, because 4 tanks in, pull the coil head apart, and this is that thin layer of cotton that is supposed to provide the capillary action for that paper, that fiberglass paper. And it's burned through. There's a clear indication that the coil has burned through that cotton. So at that point, you're coming in direct contact with the actual ceramic paper, as they call it. So I don't know. I don't really buy the fact that it's completely safe.
Well, I'm also not of the opinion or the thought that the SGS testing, because, we don't exactly have a line of tests for ceramic paper in this case, or for that material in this case, where you're pretty much directly applying heat and then inhaling off of it.
Right.
So, they can test and give all the tests they want, but that doesn't mean it's fine for inhalation like that.
Right. So we've got some other pictures here of the coils, obviously burnt. New ceramic on the left. This tank was never over 16.5 watts. Why the hell is it burnt, and where did the burnt go? So again, it's burning through that layer. Obviously, the ceramic doesn't burn and disappear, so the ceramic is flaking off. I call it ceramic. People have called it fiberglass. People have called it silica. The truth is, it's a combination, and there's a report that I can pull up here that shows exactly what it's made up of.
Well, the SGS report calls it fiberglass paper, correct?
Fiberglass paper, correct. That's the one from Aspire. But they've also called it ceramic. So,
yes.
Right.
So ROHS directive, this is the ROHS directive. This is the basic standard that they apply to this, which is not for inhalation. Again, that is just for general exposure to something. So you can see what they test for: lead, mercury, cadmium, hexavalent chromium, polybrominated biphenyls, polybrominated diphenyl ethers, PBDE. Okay, so all of this had, trace amounts that were within tolerated values by weight. Aspire's diagram, we've seen that. This is the real interesting piece here. And this is from Wrath, which is manufacturer for this material. And
Wrath
let me
juice?
pull up. Huh?
That stuff's Wrath juice? That stuff was delicious.
So this is the MSDS, which you're required to have on the ceramic paper, which, here, I just messed with my taskbar. Where is this at? Okay, so MSDS for ceramic fiber paper, which is what they call it. Ingredient name: acrylic latex, ceramic fiber, crystalline silica cristobalite will form after this product has been in service temperatures of, it looks like, less than 1,000 Celsius. So appearance is white paper, odor none, water solubility insoluble. This is where it gets scary. Okay, This is known carcinogenic to humans. Overexposure to dust may cause irritation or soreness in the throat and nose, irritation or rash, chronic health effects, excessive exposure to after-service dust containing cristobalite may cause lung damage such as silicosis. Primary entry would be inhalation, eye, and skin contact. So yeah, this is kind of
Silicosis.
scary. Anybody that has upper respiratory or lung diseases, this is something you want to stay away from. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not really satisfied with Aspire's response to this issue.
Yeah, me either. There seems to be a pretty big gap between some MSDS sheets and what Aspire is saying, and that gap sometimes is a little nerve-wracking for me, because I started to look at all my Nautilus heads and everything as well under the same type of microscope, and I'm wondering what I've been using all this time.
I don't think the concern was quite as big with the Nautilus and stuff, because you're not lung inhaling,
Right.
The Nautilus and the Nautilus Mini, whereas with the Atlantis, I mean, it's a full force lung inhale. Whatever's coming up, you're taking down.
And one of my friends, Fiamma, asked me about that today. She said, what do I do as far as recommendations to somebody who's new to vaping or who wants to get one? Can I recommend it? I mean, again, it's just my opinion, but I would not recommend the Atlantis. I'd recommend the Nautilus, but with one, I guess, hitch, and that is that I wish they would switch to organic cotton or switch to a different wicking material.
If people keep on them about it, if all the reviewers and all the shows and all the users keep on them about it, they will. Their statement shows that they're listening. They will change it if people keep on, especially with Kanger doing organic cotton.
Yeah, and one of the things that's key here, and let me see if I can find this, because these are Aspire's own words. Our patented ceramic paper has been tested by SGS and shows there are no harmful chemicals or off gases according to the international standards currently in place. So that goes back to the ROHS stuff, okay? That is the standard that they're abiding by. So in the eyes of those groups and committees, they are compliant. But that doesn't mean that the material is necessarily safe for inhalation. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to trust a thin layer of cotton that burns through after 2 tanks with my health. So, I don't know. And it saddens me in a little way, because, Sean, I loved the Atlantis. I mean, I really enjoyed vaping on it.
I ruined vaping for everyone.
Yeah, it's your fault.
I was using the Nautilus Mini.
Yeah.
And it does work great. But I have since found a replacement for it. I was using the iStick and the Nautilus Mini, which is a great setup. And just recently, I got this little e-grip. And now they have an RBA for it. Instead of using the bought heads, which for me lasted about 3 days, I pulled it apart and I found what the taste was. One of the coils was gunked up. So I found out that they had an RBA for this. I just got it today from Signot in one of their many stores in the Chicagoland area. Signot.net. I paid for it, so don't worry about it. Now this thing is, I'm getting rid of my iSticks. I'm also probably not going to use my Nautilus anymore. Not just for that, but just for how small and pocketable this thing is. I've been digging it. I've been really digging it.
So the RBA head's nice, because I've been tempted to pick one up specifically because of the RBA head.
This is the stock head. They build 1.5 ohm coils wrapped around organic cotton. They even give you a little sheet of it along with, it's stuck in the box. Yeah, they give you a little sheet of it and 2 pre-built coils. So you can try them as they are. I'll end up building my own.
The Kanger, the sub-tank comes with a nice little sheet of organic cotton too. But the Kanger has another one of the issues that the Nautilus has. Yay!
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, chrome-plated brass coil heads.
Oh,
Oh, I was using brass screen mods in my 510s back in the day, so I'm not worried about that.
Not as big of a concern to me as ceramic, but worth mentioning all the same.
Uh,
I just saw a question in chat too. I saw something at the Walmart gas station that really sparked some curiosity for me. Finn is selling pre-filled CE4s. Anyone else seen this or have any thoughts about that? I saw that as well. Of course, you have Enjoy with the loose juice for sale, the artist collection. So you're starting to see the convenience store market clue into the fact that these open systems are pretty much the future if they don't want to end up with... I read an article the other day, and I'm trying to remember where I read it, but it was basically from a convenience store's perspective. Their biggest issue with carrying cigalikes was that they had a lot of dead inventory. So they were carrying cigalikes that stayed on the shelves. They couldn't sell them after a certain period of time by law. So they had all this inventory that had to either be bought back by the manufacturer if it was leased space, or they had to just get rid of. So you're going to see that. You're going to see more open systems, open products at convenience stores and gas stations, which I think is great.
Sales of open systems have surpassed sales of cigalikes anyway.
And I've
At
seen
least
that
from a
at the
growth
gas stations.
perspective, yeah.
I've seen that at the gas stations. What are those truck stops that are all over the U.S.? You can buy an Eagle style with a tank, and then they've got bottles of juice you can buy now.
Yep.
I don't even know if it's growth perspective. I think it actually happened. Like, full-on open system sales surpassed cigalikes, period, in profit.
Yeah, the last article I read was from Wells Fargo, and it was at Bonnie Herzog, and she mentioned that it was, from a growth perspective, it was surpassing the closed systems. But you may be right at this point, because that's an older article. And the rates that they were talking about was explosive. I think we've exhausted the topic of Atlantises, though, and I hate to banish it because I'm sure we'll revisit it at some point, but we have talked about it quite a bit. And other
once my diagnosis of silicosis is confirmed, we'll retouch this subject again.
And
500 million is your number, by the way. Open systems have surpassed cigalikes by $500 million.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Which is a pretty significant number.
Well, and my view on the cigalike, I used to smoke. I don't anymore. I really don't want to use something that reminds me of that.
Yeah. I mean, we had Eric from Enjoy on, and I mean, he said straight up that Enjoy saw the writing on the wall. That's why they're selling egos in store, and then they have the artist collection strictly for brick and mortars, because they see where the market's going.
Well, so we talked about the fact that as far as I'm concerned, unless I'm going to rebuild Nautilus heads, which I've done that, I've got probably 8 or 9 rebuilt heads sitting here on my desk, because unfortunately I went out and I bought multi-packs of Atlantis heads in this group buy. I got this huge bag of Atlantis heads,
and now
Atlantis tanks.
You can go to InsideVaping.net and you can purchase a dagger rebuilt Atlantis heads.
Don't waste your time.
1995.
Wow, that's a deal. Anyway, I'm past that. So now we have these cloud-chasing rebuildable tank atomizers on the market. The main 3 are the Orchid and the Limo, which, they've been around for a little while. Orchid has been through many major changes in the clone market. I don't know how many of the originals actually survive, or if Aethertech is actually still a company that's in business at this point. 2.
I found out today.
Wow. But on what version are they up to, Sean, for clones?
6.
Wow. So
there's also the Aqua. Don't forget the Aqua.
The Aqua, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the Aqua for me, and I have one, I've got a legitimate Aqua, which I don't know, for all intents and purposes, may also be made in China, from what I'm hearing. It wasn't in the same class as far as airflow as some of the other ones. Now, I've got the Billow here, and I'm really enjoying this quite a bit. You can also see my shake weight mod here. This is the OG Sacred mod. And yeah, I know it's ugly and you might say it looks like pipe fittings, but I'll tell you what, this thing works flawlessly. It's got the best side button design that I've seen too. We had this for a while, and I just
Better than the
polished it
Poldiak?
today.
Just
Huh?
polished.
Better than the Poldiak?
Yes, yeah. Heavy though. It's got to weigh 2 pounds. It's ridiculous.
That is the mod voted you could kill a man.
It's the weaponized mod.
It is. That thing is heavy. It is really, really heavy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So anyway, the billow, okay? I like this thing. It's dual coil. It's got very wide juice channels. It handles, right now I've got some serial killer in there, and that is 90% VG. It wicks perfectly. I don't have any dry hits.
Is that 10% diacetyl?
No diacetyl. Speaking of which, I got some juices that we're going to be talking about a little, probably next week here. These are creme de la crema, and these are diacetyl and AP free. And
is Al Pacino making juice now? Is that who's on there?
This is John Gotti.
Is it John Gotti, really?
Yeah. Yeah. They have a Capone, too. Capone. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So this thing has 5.5 mil capacity. I didn't think I was going to like it, but I really do. It's got a nice thick Pyrex tank. Price point is great. It's like $35. It was designed by E-Cigs and made by Pro. So, I don't know. Is it a clone? I don't think so. It's got some original ideas along with some borrowed ideas.
China doesn't make it a clone. Look at the Limo. Look at the Beyond Vape Solara.
Yeah.
All those are manufactured in China. They're not clones.
That's true. That's true. But, you know, Pro is known for making quite a few clone devices. That's one of their claims to fame.
Yeah, like the Valkyrie.
Said, it's a solid tank. It's affordable. So there's some alternatives out there now. This is a new one that's coming out. This is called the Goblin by Yude. This has 3 mil capacity, dual 3mm air holes, a split center post design, and it's 46 millimeters in overall length. Bottom fill, and that's just like the Billow. It's a bottom fill also. Now I'm going to do a review on the Billow. There's a couple issues with it. There's some leaking around the airflow adjustment screws on the bottom. It's a little bit temperamental when it comes to wicking. You have to learn how to wick it properly. But once you master those things, I mean, it's a really solid device. The 510 is supposedly adjustable, but if you try to back it out, you'll get massive leaking through the 510 pin in the bottom. So I don't know that I would do that. I'm not adjusting it. I'm just leaving it tight in there. I might put a little washer in it. The Billow deck, you can't really see in this picture, but the air holes have like a slight lip around them, so you don't have to worry about.
Is that the Billow deck or the UD or the Goblin
That's the
deck?
Billow deck. That's the one that I've got in my hands here.
Okay.
That is the deck from the Billow.
Okay.
So that's a pretty nice system too. That's pretty much it for the cloud chasing segment here. The next story that we've got, and this is a pretty big one, we've got a video. Washington State has some very punitive tax coming up on the docket here, and let me go ahead and pull this up. I need to get like the Jeopardy sound for when I'm trying to find video. Here we go. Let's see if this will work. This is the one problem with videos that, oh, look at that, Flash crashed. Thank you, Flash.
It's cool animation.
Not really.
Loading screen of death.
Here we go.
So this would be just a typical starter kit.
7 days a week for the last 4 years.
This is the chamber that's going to hold your e-liquid.
Kim Thompson and her staff at the Vaporium have been selling electronic cigarettes and smoking them as well.
It not only helped me cut back on electronic cigarettes, it actually helped me eliminate cigarettes altogether. And now my dosage of nicotine is almost zero.
She feels vaping changed her life.
5 times on, 5 times off.
And so she opened this shop to offer other smokers that same opportunity.
Washington's tax system is badly outdated.
But Kim says Thursday's announcement from Governor Jay Inslee and his plan to impose a 95% vapor tax statewide would essentially force her shop to shut down.
Taxing small business out of business is bad business.
I just think that's categorically ridiculous.
Still, State Representative Reuben Carlisle, who tried to pass a similar e-cig tax last year, says it's not that simple. He also says it's not personal.
This is just a fairness issue. It's a parity issue. No one's looking to single out vaping. We're just looking to bring it to a same level of fairness of taxation of other similar products.
A so-called sin tax for a sin Kim insists she's not committing.
There's zero tobacco in my product. We do not promote tobacco. We do not promote smoking. We do not promote anything that has cancer-causing ingredients.
And come January, that debate will leave the Vaporium.
This is a fair way to raise needed revenue.
And instead, play out in Olympia.
They are irate. They are empowered. They are ready to rally and to converge.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't see how they can say that's taxation on the level of other sin taxes. I mean, is it 95% out there?
I don't know.
I don't know if they passed this yet, but I'll tell you, this is yet another runaround from politicians that are starting to realize that if you can't beat them, tax them. You know, it's alarming to me to think that this may very well come to be the norm across the country as we start to head into the FDA regulation period. You know, states are being pretty shrewd in adopting their own stances on e-cig before the FDA rules on them, knowing that the FDA has already stated they will not overturn any previously passed legislation at the state level. And to me, the bottom line is it's all the more important for vapors to get involved locally and fight these ridiculous proposals before they start getting etched into law.
Preach.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to see the last of this. Obviously, they're pushing for taxes in where you live as well, in Arizona. Isn't that correct? I mean, did that get voted down?
It has been pushed back. Initially, they were going to vote on it in December. Lot of pushback here. There's going to be a lot of pushback here. They realized that they didn't want to rush anything through before the holidays, so that they know that there's going to be an enormous amount of opposition here from not just large organizations, but local vapors as well. So they're pushing it back now till January.
Get him, Dane. Get him.
Yeah. We're on top of it, and we will certainly be on the stairs of all of those legislative halls very soon.
Well, keep an eye.
We're running out of time too, so we got to power through the rest of these. Nova Scotia, we've been out for almost 3 weeks now, so it's a lot of stuff is built up. Nova Scotia has bill number 60. Okay, here's some info about bill number 60 from cbc.ca. This is Nova Scotia, Canada. During the fall sitting of the Nova Scotia legislature, the McNeil government backed down from an all-out ban on flavored tobacco and the e-juices used in e-cigarettes and vaporizers. That's after dozens of people showed up during public hearings to denounce Bill 60, which would amend the province's Smoke-Free Places Act and the Tobacco Access Act. At the time, the bill included a ban on the sale of flavored tobacco and e-juices. The governing Liberals amended their own bill to remove those provisions, but went ahead with outlawing the use of e-cigarettes, vaporizers, and hookahs in all places where traditional smoking is banned. The plan for January and February is to consult on what flavors should be banned when it comes to tobacco and whether that ban should extend to e-juices too. So this is really key for them. Obviously, they have businesses. They've got small businesses. They've got online businesses that operate out of that area, and this is going to, basically crush, that market sector. So there's an economic impact to these things that I don't think it's shocking to me that you don't get local government that realizes what kind of impact that can have. It's not just who these shops employ either.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a sizable tax base now in small businesses in this industry. And, the taxation versus pushing a small business out of business is a wash that they don't want to get caught up in. And I don't think they realize how far the pendulum sways in the other direction. And I think they're being really, really myopic when they're only looking at this from the teen safety standpoint, or if they need to raise, tax dollars for the coffers of some state or federal government that they're doing. They're making a huge mistake. For the people that watch this video, there's a young lady on there. Her name is Shay, and she is Island Vapor in the community. I applaud her big time for going on record with plans to litigate the government and litigate this legislation to protect her business in any way she can from harmful legislation. For me, classification has always been the key to this fight in winning legislative battles with all of our encounters with lawmakers. And it's nice to see that a lot of people are doing just that. And they're trying to make clear that the definition of e-cigs is very, very skewed in the eyes of politicians and government. And I think that's an important thing to remember going forward.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play the video now. You guys aren't going to hear it, the guys that are on the Skype call here. But
we heard the last one.
Yeah, I don't think you'll hear this one, though.
Okay, my name is Shay Sinnis. It's ShaisiNNIS. I represent the End Vapor Shop.
And what do you think of the changes?
I'm a little confused, absolutely. Something that we really wanted to see was to have the electronic cigarette removed from the Tobacco Act, because that will ultimately affect all businesses in Nova Scotia. What they're doing now is they have lifted the ban on flavored tobacco. That does protect us with our flavors because they're still considering us tobacco, although there's no tobacco in our product.
But what's the negative side that leads to?
The negative side is if we are considered tobacco, we are going to have to cover all of our product. We will not be able to even tell people what we have. If they come in and they're a new vapor, they're wanting to switch to the electronic cigarette, they're not going to be able to say, do you have this? I can't tell them unless they know the exact name for it, because that's a form of advertising and marketing. We won't be able to help our new vapors set up. They won't know how to use their devices or how to set them up whatsoever. We will not be able to tell them anything.
Sorry, we've heard a couple of times about the challenges that maybe the lack of consultation has created through this whole process. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, how much of this situation do you think could have been avoided had government come and talk to your industry about what they were proposing?
A lot of it could have been avoided. I've been trying to contact Mr. Levine since December, all of which have been denied. Whether it be showing up at his office, phone calling him, emailing him, or even snail mail. All of that has been avoided. Basically, the biggest thing is all we want was to sit down with the government so we could actually explain our industry to them. Because basically what's happening here is we're having a lot of misinformation and a lot of uneducated theoretics. This is just theoretics. This is not based on science, so I think it's a premature move from our government.
How long have you had your business?
We opened in June 2013.
And are you surprised that not a single government member would actually explain the changes or be willing to justify what they've done?
I was a little confused at the Liberal caucus in there, absolutely. They didn't explain the changes throughout the amendments whatsoever.
So what does that tell you about their reason?
I think right now that they are afraid of the e-cigarette industry and the push that they saw from not only all the vapors that have showed up, but the businesses as well, because we were prepared and they did hear our voices with our studies. So with this, I think they're afraid because they do know it's a premature move from the government right now.
If this bill goes through, does this end this for you? What are your next options?
Well, there's a lot of avenues that I can take, absolutely. This will probably end up a legal matter for a lot of people, a lot of businesses. It's unfortunate it had to go that way because simply, if they would have sat down and spoken with us, this could have been avoided. It will close us.
So will you go to court?
Will I? I would absolutely go to court. I'd exhaust every resource to ensure that our consumers, our thousands of consumers, have the product that they need.
Thank you so much.
Dane?
Yeah, again, I applaud Shay for going public like this and going on the record. Too many times at legislative hearings, especially ones that I've been to, there have been plenty of passionate vapors and a lot less passionate vendors, especially when their business is on the line. And this, to me, is exemplary and something we should look at here in the U.S. as a really, really good example of somebody who is all in with their business and in this industry. And these are the type of vendors that I really like to support.
Yeah, she's been doing that for quite a while. She's dating a friend of mine who lives here in Maryland, and I met her through the 4 Serious Vapors channel. So she's been doing like major fighting the government in Canada for quite a while now for her shop.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that at this juncture, I don't think we can go for a reclassification. And somebody in chat was talking about all the different vegetables that nicotine can come from. I mean, that would do it. If you could extract nicotine from an eggplant or a tomato, but the yield is so low.
And the price, like it would be so expensive to juice.
And the waste.
One day, fellas, one day we have some very smart scientists, and you just know they're going to get some kind of hybrid eggplant, hybrid tomato, something like that. I mean, they've done it. I mean, we've seen all different crazy colored flowers and all kinds of stuff. It can be done.
But we could can they grow a menthol eggplant? That's my question.
That would be pretty epic. I'd be in for that.
So, we're pretty much coming to the end of the show here. A couple things I did want to talk about. I saw this today, the box of Agamemnon, and I believe you guys talked about this too, Sean.
It's the box of yummy nom noms.
yummy nom noms.
So the box was made by Dogmods as a trade for a staff of Agamemnon, which we jokingly call a staff of yummy nom noms. Matt, the guy who makes the staff, and Nick, the guy who makes Dogmods, are both friends and regulars in our hangouts. So it was a nice little trade between those two. So it's lovingly called Yummy Nom Noms.
Speaking of yummy, I mean, I've been smelling something that Dane has been vaping. I've been trying to figure out what that is.
Mm-hmm. How do you like that e-liquid, Ed?
Oh, man.
That is delicious.
It is spectacular.
You got to definitely send me a bottle of that.
Will do.
So, our XSplit installation has actually frozen up. I think we're still streaming live, but I cannot switch between scenes. So, I can't show the box of Agamemnon or Yummy Nom Noms. So I guess we just need to kind of close things up here. But it is a custom one-off SX350 powered mod with 36,000 mAh of capacity.
It weighs about 5 pounds.
Yes. Don't ask him to build another one either, because it sounds like that one was quite an ordeal.
It was a one-off. Yeah, from what I read, it was a couple weeks on, a couple weeks off, and somebody was ready to bash their head into a wall.
It's been in the works for a while, and I mean, it is big, it is heavy, and I mean, it's one of those that, like, I'll be honest with people. It's not something that you want past cool factor. Yeah. Like, you don't want to vape one of these. It's gigantic. Not to mention it's yeah, but that's nothing. So the flask takes 2 days to charge via the USB. Could you imagine charging 36,000 mAh on USB? You're talking about like a week.
No.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I'd want to have like a conventional card charger to charge it up.
It would drain the battery of your car.
So let's get some closing thoughts from everybody on the biggest innovation of 2014. Predictions for 2015. I'm going to start with Ed.
Wow, you should have maybe put that in the show notes.
It is.
It was.
Reading is crucial. I can start with Dane.
Yes.
if you need time.
I will.
Okay.
Kind of think about your predictions.
Yeah, he can. Okay, I can start. First off, it's been a great year to be a vapor. Sure, we've seen our share of ridiculous legislation, Darwin Award-winning vapors, and vendors. But all in all, when we reflect on 2014 as a vaping community, it really has never been a better time to be a vapor. Innovation in both hardware and e-liquid has revolutionized this industry and propelled us forward at a really impressive rate. When I look to 2015, I think of it as a crucial fork in the road for this industry, and my wish for the entire community is to unite, stand together, and educate the legislators who look to restrict, tax, and legislate us into extinction. We've come this far, and in 2015, we're capable of great things as an industry, and I know that when the legislative dust settles, we'll not only come out on top, but will thrive as a viable industry that we have truly become. It so often, we've been bombarded lately with year-end legislation and, a lot of little slick tricks and legislation passed under the doorways and quickly before the public even sees it. But if we stay proactive and we stay active, this really truly is a fight that we can win, and I truly believe that. I think otherwise I would stop doing it. The biggest innovation to me of 2014 is just look at there's at a cross section of devices. There's so many out there. People say the DNA 40. I'm not entirely convinced, but the form factors have gotten smaller. Batteries have become much more a target of safety than they have in the past. There's been an enormous increase in the safety as far as e-liquid manufacturing and standards. All of these things have been great.
Dane, I thought this was the biggest innovation of the decade.
And you're absolutely right. And now that James reminds me, I actually submitted this. It gets my vote. The Vape stand gets my vote as the biggest innovation of 2014. Where else could you have everything you need in one
Fluid
place?
makes a better one.
Fluid vapor?
Fluid makes an awesome one.
I'll have to look theirs up.
I like that this one has a paper holder attached to it.
So does Fluids.
I'm fond of that. I think you have to have the paper attached. You have to.
Yeah.
We got into a debate when we were interviewing with Fluid about which way the paper's supposed to go on the roll at VaporCon, because there was a little bit of debate about that for their Vape stand demo.
See, I want one of those next to my rebuilding table because I'm constantly using paper towels and they're so expensive. I need to cut a paper towel in thirds.
Paper towels, yeah.
I want like toilet paper roll sized paper towels. Like narrow ones, like 4 or 5 inches.
That would be awesome, actually. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
you should make a... Hey, there you go. Oh, I'm not going to talk about it. It's an idea I have. I'll make millions. See you guys later.
James doesn't have the light bulb over his head.
That's right. I need to have my sound.
Dan, I have to say, though, man, I appreciate it because, that whole touching speech, like I was just on the verge of tears, and then you cleared it up with a joke, and I didn't lose my manhood, so I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Yeah, we can't lose manhood, that's for sure. Lord knows we have on this show far too many times.
All right, Sean, since you're here, what do you think as far as the greatest innovation summary for the year, etc.?
So I'm going to go a little bit off the wall with innovation for the year, because it's not so much as an innovation as it is. I think the most important thing and the best thing to happen in vaping this year is that we're starting to become aware. And we're starting to become aware of safety issues. We have a lot of vendors who are going out and having their liquids independently tested. We have all these great studies that are happening. I think in 2014, the fact that we're becoming aware is the most important thing that happened.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead us to self-regulation, and that's going to help us beat a lot of what's coming down the pipe next year. As far as predictions for 2015, I said this before, it's going to be the year of the LiPo batteries. we're gonna switch to lipos. Everything now is starting to move in that direction. I know there are some potential risks associated with it, but I really think as an industry, we're going to move to lipo batteries and devices, and mech mods are going to die.
I would tend to agree with that for the most part, even though it saddens me in some strange way because I
thought I heard a tear trickle down that cheek there.
I wear self-winding or even hand-wound watches because I'm old school that way, and I'd hate to see mech mods totally disappear. I mean, I'm sure there's still going to be some people making them, but yeah, as far as popularity, yeah, it's already on the decline. So I agree with that. And as far as studies go, yeah, that is definitely something. And I never thought I would say that as an industry we are beginning to self-regulate because everyone was so openly against it. I mean, if you approach the subject, they would say, well, why do we need regulation? It's our right. It's our right to vape. Well, in reality, if you want to get that broad mainstream acceptance, you're going to have to show that you have some discipline and you've regulated.
Yep.
You've regulated yourselves. So, Ed?
And that's why I am part of this show for comic relief. I have my buddy Dane down below me that writes a script. Sean has his heartfelt thing, and I'm like, everything I thought of, Dane, you're like, and this. I'm like, shoot. So, a great innovation this year was Serial Killer. But I'm going to tell you something. If you go to Azure Vapor and they have their Crocodile Tears line, they have a juice called the Morning After. In my personal opinion, it blows Serial Killer out of the water.
So does
that's
Oculus,
innovation.
Oculus from Northern Lights does. Silly Rabbit from Karmic Vapor does.
You already had your speech. Shut up.
You tell him.
That's right. And next year, I am going to guarantee that we are going to see a new board from Evolve.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
That's kind of like a new iPhone from Apple. Come on.
Exactly.
It's a yearly upgrade.
Nope. It's only going to have an S on the end
using...
next year. It's only going to have an S.
and that brings me to this. So Ed knows this mod well because I've been dragging it. Actually, he's been dragging it along with revisions of DNA chips and battery technology, etc. So I think you said you were actually going to make it easier for you to swap out the chip in this because you're tired of doing it.
Yeah, to make it easier. Yeah, that's going to get it.
Yeah, so just to echo what Sean was saying too with the testing, I think that's really crucial. As far as like the biggest innovation, and I know this is going to seem strange to some people, but were there spring-loaded, non-load bearing spring 510 connectors in 2013? So for me, and I can't believe you missed this one, Ed.
Yeah,
for me, kidding. The Fat Daddy 510, the Veritube 510, those are like huge innovations. Because remember what everybody was complaining about with mech mods last year? It's got that unsightly gap, especially the Brits. Yep. The Brits love that. Or hated that gap.
I'm stealing that for next week on Plumes.
That's good. Yeah, the Fat Daddy 510 connector was the first connector that didn't utilize the spring as part of the circuit.
Yeah.
I quit.
And if you want a Fat Daddy on yours, call it.
The nicest thing about you guys using Skype is that nobody can mute me.
I have to figure out a way. All right, guys, that is it for the show, unless anybody has anything else they want to say here.
Yes, I'm the only one with the Christmas spirit. My other three counterparts here wussed out, couldn't wear their gear throughout. I mean, come on.
I got the ho-ho-ho up here.
No, you weren't wearing it. That says, oh. That's what it says. It doesn't say.
It was too tight on my head. It was cutting off my circulation.
Just so you know, I'm going to use this year-round. I'm going to spin it, and I'm going to put an M on the end of it so it says Om, Om, Om. Because then it's fitting for year-round.
It's almost like meditating. Sense. Yeah.
Especially with us being broadcast on the HomePage.
And when you flip it over to say who?
Who?
Yeah, and let us say
Ho, ho,
how
ho.
excited we are to be a part of the
Yes.
page. We started out as three ragtag people who really didn't know where this was going to go or what we were going to do. And it's been nice to be so well received. And a year-end show would be completely incomplete without me thanking everybody who's tuned in to this show every week. We hear all of you. We thank all of you. And it means a lot to us with all of those positive comments coming our way. We have been very, very lucky and very blessed to be able to do something like this. And it's been a great year, gentlemen. And 2015 is going to get even better as soon as Ed finishes that hashtag. Anyway.
Yeah, as soon as I finish the hashtag. And to somewhat echo you in reverse, the page should be grateful to have us. They needed this right here. This is what they needed to complete their page of homage.
You know, right now there are a bunch of Plumes of Hazard viewers that are watching this show thinking, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
I gotta say this. Of all the people and of all the shows to pull, though, you know, a year ago, and we're almost at a year now, Plumes of Hazard was this tiny little ragtag show that nobody knew about. You know, that's what we love, and that's, I think, what we liked about you guys is you're this tiny little ragtag show. That's
true.
Fantastic. You do things your way, and you do things because you care about it. I'm for that. And we are very happy to have you, Ed.
I feel loved.
Ed is loved.
I'm very happy to have at least James and Dane.
Oh, Ed, come on. High five. High five, buddy.
We should pound it.
The Brady Bunch cam is throwing me for a loop.
I know, it's getting accustomed to this new video setup.
I like it. You know what? It looks great on the YouTube channel. We're not so tiny.
It does.
And the lower thirds are awesome. Good job.
I'm glad you said channel at the end of that, because if you just said it looks great on the YouTube, that sounds like something my grandma would say. Looks great on the YouTubes.
It translates really well on the YouTube there.
I didn't say the YouTube channel. Oh, wow. It looks good on the YouTubes. I'm
That's
going
good.
to do some tweeters.
Thanks.
And to all of you vapors and vendors out there, I'll be doing a lot of traveling in the upcoming year, and I hope to see a lot of you out at vape shops all across the country.
Yes.
Yes. Sean, thanks for being on the show. Catch Plumes of Hazard on Monday nights at 9 Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock my time. All right. Good night, everybody. And we do not have a nice outro and screen because
and just to keep
everything's crashed.
Next show will be January 6th. No show next week.
No show next week.
Correct. No show next week. Everybody have a great holiday. Enjoy your family. Hug them now because nothing is forever. As doomful as that may sound.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah, in Plumes of Hazard spirit, Merry Crucifixmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And this is how this will end. I have no idea how long we're going to be streaming, so I'm just going to babble on here because I actually have to end task on XSplit. So let's see. Applications. Let me play some festive music for everybody.
We'll leave with the dancing of Ed.
How do I end this task? Here we go. Let's see. This program is unresponsive. End now.
Mesothelioma, I get, because ceramic. Where did silicosis come from? It's not silicone.
Silicosis probably came from asbestosis.
It came from the Vapor Joe article, is where the term got thrown around. I don't get it.
So we're live again, and we are ending the show. Good night, everybody. See you in 2 weeks. Have
Merry Christmas,
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Hanukkah,
Happy New Year. And go vape some
Kwanzaa,
alcohol.
all that stuff.
New Year's Eve.
Don't vape alcohol.
Don't vape and drive.
Don't get silicosis.
Don't get silicosis. It hurts.
Get silicosis, my man.
I hope you get lots of cool presents this year.
Yeah.
Good night.
I'm getting nothing. I'm finishing up my tattoo on Saturday.
Ooh.